Every iPhone may say designed in California, but its true story begins far from Silicon Valley, in the sprawling, humming factories of China. In fact, for years, Apple's secret weapon wasn't just sleek design, but a powerful invisible supply chain stretching across Asia. But now that lifeline is in fact under fire, as President Donald Trump unleashes towering tariffs and promises to haul factories back to American soil, Apple faces a crisis that could shake the very core of its empire. And what was once a symbol of global cooperation now stands at the heart of a fierce trade war. Here's the full story in our next report.
Every iPhone proudly bears the line designed in California. But its real birthplace lies thousands of miles away in China. Apple sells over 220 million iPhones each year, and by most estimates, 9 out of 10 are made in China. From shiny screens to battery packs, China produces, assembles and ships them. And the US, which is Apple's largest market, remains their main destination. However, this tight relationship is now under threat. US President Donald Trump has slapped massive tariffs on Chinese imports, with some reaching 245%. Though smartphones and electronics were briefly exempted, Trump hinted that more levies are coming. Nobody's getting off the hook, he warned on Truth Social. And now the entire electronic supply chain is under review. Apple's global supply chain, which was once a strength, has become a weakness. The US and China, which are the world's largest economies, are tightly interwoven, and Trump's sudden tariffs have shaken this foundation.
China, 67%, that's tariffs.
Raising one big question: who needs whom more?
Currency manipulation and trade barriers.
The tariff itself would move it to $2,000. If iPhones were made in the US, we estimate it would cost $3,500, and now it takes 7 to 8 years to actually happen.
China gained massively from hosting Apple's production lines. The partnership helped launch Chinese manufacturers into global players. When Apple was struggling in the late 90s, it found a lifeline in China's rising economy. And in 2001, Apple officially entered China, partnering with Foxconn to make iPods, MacBooks, and eventually iPhones. At first, China wasn't ready to build something like the iPhone. Apple handpicked suppliers and invested in them. One example is Beijing Jingdiao, which transformed from cutting acrylic to machining glass for iPhones. But as Apple's profits soared, its footprint in China expanded. Foxconn's iPhone City in Zhengzhou became the world's largest iPhone factory. By 2024, 150 of Apple's top 187 suppliers had factories in China. Advanced chips come from Taiwan's TSMC, and rare earth minerals, crucial for cameras and speakers, come from China. There's no supply chain more critical to US than China, Apple CEO Tim Cook admitted. But now Trump wants to bring manufacturing home. Millions of workers crewing in tiny screws will come to America, claimed US Commerce Secretary. But shifting won't be easy. Apple is also battling Chinese rivals like Huawei, Xiaomi and Vivo. In 2024, Apple lost its top spot in China because the country's weak economy and the ban on AI tools like ChatGPT hurt Apple's appeal. And despite a $500 billion US investment, Apple faces an uncertain road ahead. Trump's tariff plans change often and fresh levies loom large. Apple's once reliable Chinese supply chain is now a fragile lifeline. And with little time or room to move, the world's biggest tech company faces one of its biggest tests yet.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.